Today I'll be covering over 30 mods that take care of the visual side of the ambience in Minecraft. Anything that enhances nature and make the game more therapeutic to play, we added. I also emphasized client-sided mods, so most of these mods you can play online with no problems at all. Now without any further ado, let's dive into the video. First on the list we have Atmospherics. This is a mod all about skies in Minecraft. Amongst its basic features, Atmospherics allows you to change the color of the skies, the clouds, and even the haze and the fog too. When it's dark, aesthetic stars will cover the skies, and falling comets can be seen too, which is quite exclusive to this mod. You can also turn on story mode clouds. In my opinion, they look much more beautiful than the bland vanilla clouds. Atmospherics has helped me a lot in my quest to enhance in my modpack's ambience. Back then, I had plenty of packs and mods that worked to improve the same thing. Now, all I need is Atmospherics and the end results are really superior to even shaders. The tweaking is biome based, and the author has done a terrific job with the factory settings. But I recommend you manually tweak each biome, this way you tailor the experience exactly to your liking. Up next we have Coastal Waves. This mod reimagines ocean ambience with beautiful crashing waves on the shore. The waves have soothing sounds and fascinating pixel animations. They also spawn at a very natural rate. During nighttime, you'll be able to see bioluminescent waves. With shaders like Photon, the visuals are going to be a feast for the eyes. This mod is sadly not client-sided, but it's very important and perhaps the best and the only one at what it does. Nature X is one of the most influential client-sided projects on this entire list. With this texture pack, the foliage on any biome or even dimension would be greatly amplified and improved. From cat tiles in place of shallow water seagrass, to seaweeds and lily pads on lakes, to bushier hanging leaves, to plants that are only visible and not functional, to emissive vegetation on the end and the nether, plus more. In many video games with great ambience, most of the foliage around you isn't harvestable. Yet it remains imperative to enhancing the feel of the game, so this pack is great regardless of its non-functional nature. This mod adds wet sands near lakes and oceans. The wet sand helps a lot in improving the ambience of the ocean, as the sand slowly gets wet, eventually producing these beautiful beaches. The wet sand here is functional. It defies gravity and can be used to plant sugar canes without a nearby water source. And if you want, you could also dry it out using an empty bottle. A great fit with wet sand would be Coastal Waves if you are using the Nitroc Nectar mod, though unfortunately it won't work as intended. Biome Bloom is another texture pack, this time improving the sky, fog and watercolors to match the surrounding environment. My favorite biome colors are the desert, cherry grove and the jungle. We already covered Atmospherics mod, but this pack will work best for people who would like a universal project runnable on all loaders, most versions, and with pre-adjusted fog colors for a plug-and-play experience. Next up we have a mod which adds Meteor Showers to the game. These fabulous events take place during nighttime and are dependent on various factors like the weather conditions and the moon phases. These meteor showers were designed beautifully, and they can range from small meteor showers to epic ones covering the entire atmosphere. You could push this mod's visual to unprecedented levels through enabling Aurora Borealis on the shader settings. Complementary will work best in this regard. Sadly, this mod isn't client-sided, though it's that way so that events are visible to you and to your friends at the same time. It sounds like a good trade-off if you'd ask me. Better Smoke enhances campfires in Minecraft through giving physics to the smoke. The smoke will now move according to the wind and interact with the blocks it hits. It will also culminate and enlarge if there are several campfires nearby, making for excellent chimneys amongst other building ideas. Smoke isn't naturally found in the wilds, but this mod can still improve the ambience of your town. Just make sure you have particle core and salt for stable performance. Sunbathing Godrays is a texture pack which gives the sun a beautiful sunbeam effect, resulting in fabulous light visuals without using any shaders. The effect does cover the moon too, but you will see it more prominently during sunsets and sunrises. I stumbled across this pack literally right after I was about to pack up the video and upload it, but I couldn't miss such a gem. It only released a few days ago, so be sure to try it out. This mod adds tumbleweeds that can be spotted on the desert. These tumbleweeds actually drop some loot, but only when they hit the water. Tumbleweeds will breathe life into the desert, and with our previously mentioned Nature X pack, these barren lands have never looked more ambient. Musgo is an awesome texture pack which improves upon vegetation and overgrowth in Minecraft. This pack includes, but not limited to, twigs and pebbles on the ground, woodpecker holes on the trees, tree barks and different mushroom variants, hanging leaves, branches coming out of logs, 3D variables for glowberries, and more. Unexpectedly, Musgo also changes the variants for some animals, mainly the frogs for now, as they can look different to fit their nature. Not just the mobs, blocks like fences have mossy variants too, making for overgrown ambient visuals. There is something you need to know about this pack in particular. It only looks appropriate with shaders. On vanilla Minecraft there are so many visual bugs, I fail to see why. If this is a deal breaker for you, which I assume it is, use Nature X instead. One of the best client-sided ambience mods we have on the list is Snow Imprints. This mod adds snow trails to all entities, block entities, and yourself. Snow Imprints is surprisingly compatible with custom texture packs, meaning you can just add it to your mod pack without worrying about any conflicts. I added it to my mod pack and it worked just fine. Definitely upgraded my snow ambience rather tremendously. Recrafted is an all-out atmospheric texture pack that shocked everyone in the community with its creativity and ambience. The author has designed unbelievable features, things like interactive leaf piles and interactive fallen leaves, as well as moods flying around lanterns, waving animations for the grass and leaves, and fresh textures for almost everything on the base game. The skies have also been overhauled, featuring Godrays, custom clouds, and an engulfing overcast that involves the entire world, with leaves flying everywhere and the atmosphere darkening. This pack is highly customizable with the Respacops mod. You can remove many of its features and supplement them with other mods and packs from this very list. This way it looks even better than the default package. Unfortunately, this pack isn't free, but don't worry, we have two more atmospheric options that are completely free. First of which there is Benigamer's enhanced visuals. This pack improves the atmosphere tremendously. Amongst its many features, there is the weather. The pack features subtle and more acidic rain particles, sandstorm particles in the desert, and snowstorm particles on the snowy biomes. Torches have also been given a blooming effect. Same applies to fireflies on the swamps, as well as other particles on the Pale Garden and the End amongst other places. The pack also features subtle water particles, better explosion particles, better campfire particles, and more. This is actually the smaller one of the two free atmospheric texture packs I have for you friends, so sit still as there is an even bigger one to follow. Cosy Critters and creepy crawlies add small particles to the world. The first you'll notice are likely the birds on the skies. They fly in flocks, and they can be found standing on leaves or fences when there is no one around. During nighttime, moths will fly around lanterns and torches, similar to the moths on the Recrafted pack. And finally, there is a spooky effect where spiders crawl around cobwebs. This can be perfect to add an atmosphere of desolation to abandoned villages amongst other deserted spots. The author has been working hard on enhancing the behavior of each one of these particles, and I can't wait to see new visual effects they may come up with.
Particular Reforged mod adds a lot of ambient features, things like 3D water splashes for all items and entities, as well as cascades for waterfalls.
In the forest, you will notice the mod's fallen leaves in action, and there is this feature where the leaves lay flat instead of just disappearing as they hit the surface. It's even more pleasant looking when the surface is water. When you open a loot chest underwater, bubbles will emerge from it. You may also notice passive effects like cave dust deep underground and fireflies in the forest. This mod is excellent for improving ambience. I would only recommend for the author to make the fireflies emissive without using shaders. This next mod adds puddles forming after rain. These puddles can also be triggered manually through pouring water on the ground, throwing splash potions, or breaking a filled cauldron. They may also form as a result of water dripping on the caves. As you can see, these puddles support shaders. They even feature reflections, which only improve their look. Puddles will evaporate after a while, and they will improve the weather ambience a lot, an aspect of the game that we'll add to even more later in this video. Earlier, we've seen a mod that adds trails to you walking on the snow, and here we are with a mod that adds trails to when you cruise the water this time around. Wakes will add beautiful simulation for boats, entities, items, and players too. There are also planes that you can enable for extra animations, as well as the option to see everything in first-person view. The wicks also adapt to the colors of the water, in addition to being compatible with some shaders, like Complementary for example. Interactive foliage and water are amongst the most ambient and satisfying features there is, so this mod is a natural option for this list. Shine is up next. We've seen how Benigamer's enhanced visuals added subtle bloom effect to torches. Well, Shine over here adds that effect for every light source on the game, even if it's coming from another mod. I have to admit the factory settings of this mod aren't the best, but with enough work, you can get it to a level where it can make a day and night difference to the game's ambience. Next up will be adding rainbows to the game. The only way to do it as of now is through shaders. Three of the best examples I have for you friends are Photon shaders, Astralex shaders, and the well-known Complementary or Rethinking Voxels shaders. The rainbows on all said shaders spawn on the opposite side of the sun directly after rain or a thunderstorm. Depending on which shader you choose, they can be more apparent or double bound rainbows. The best one in my opinion is Complementary. Rainbows are one of the world's 7 wonders. We can't have a list enhancing the atmosphere and ambience without those beautiful natural events. Story Mode Clouds is a texture pack which makes the clouds thick and gradient, true to the game Minecraft Story Mode. This version of the clouds is a lot more ambient, and you can mix this pack with Biome Bloom. It's compatible with it, and both make for aesthetic and pleasant skies in Minecraft. Visual Effects Plus is the second atmospheric texture pack I mentioned earlier. This one, however, is very big and influences nearly everything about the game. You could spot a flock of birds in the sky, butterflies flying in flowery forests, crying souls in the soul sand biome, and so much more. In terms of the atmosphere, you can't get any more ambient than this. Godrays can be seen penetrating leaves and even the surface of the water, wet and moist atmosphere over at the swamps. Creepy creaking eyes can be seen on the pale garden, custom folk colors for lush caves and the dripstone caves, plus a lot more. The weather affects nature around you quite a lot. Leaves will fall more frequently, the fog will thicken, and aesthetic droplets can be seen on the ground and on the surface of lakes and oceans too. This is perhaps the most content-filled pack on this entire list, and it is free, but I have to warn you that it comes with a heavy price on performance. Unless you have e-sync particles, and I mean only e-sync particles, the experience will be more or less unplayable, so be sure to have it. Tidal is the fabric and client-sided alternative of coastal waves. But don't take it the wrong way. This mod is special and only similar to said coastal waves in concept. The ocean waves featured here are a lot more colorful and vibrant. They also have interactive animations, as they bounce back to the ocean when hitting a solid surface. On the shore, you'll notice the sand getting wet as the waves cover it, and there are also different color patterns based on the biome of the ocean. Between the two mods, it will come down entirely to your particular case. If you'd like to keep the experience client-sided, then you really have no other choice but this mod. But if you are building a content mod pack, then you might prefer coastal waves, as it works on Forge. Earlier on Recrafted, we've seen animated leaves and grass. This pack will do exactly that. The leaves and the grass are going to move unanimously according to the wind, producing a lively ambient scene. Pixel animations, in my opinion, are a lot more vanilla friendly than the animations presented by shaders, but the good thing is that you can still use shaders whilst using this pack. Just disable the waving animations on the shader settings. Biome Particle Weather retextures the rain in Minecraft, making it bluer and less blinding. Over at the desert there will be sandstorms, complete with flying dust and tumbleweeds even. The savanna will no longer be weatherless, as strong wind particles will appear. The author here didn't even miss the nether, with heat particles ascending, crying souls particles like we've seen with VFX Plus, and a few other subtle aesthetic features too. This mod sadly went outdated, but it does work on 1.21.1 and 1.20.1 Forge and Fabric, so I trust it will pertain to the majority of your friends. Made by the same author as Coastal Waves, Auroras is a mod that adds said natural events to Minecraft. These events can be spotted at -10,000, -10,000. Their shape and colors are impressive, and you can also add a shader on top to further enhance the skies. Again, Team Fabric can use Complementary Reimagined to get an alternative type of Auroras, but people who don't use shaders will want to install this one instead. Speaking of shaders, our next option will be Caztoon, an emerging shader on the modding scene.
This is one of the most vibrant shaders I've ever seen in my life. The author here has produced many creative things like adding coastal waves to the water, per biome fog color, multi-layered clouds, vanilla-friendly bloom effect, and more. This is actually a work in progress project. It's paid for $5 in Patreon, but it's very promising, and should the author round up the shader and make it fit for day-to-day use, it would be a worthwhile investment. Xali's Enhanced Vanilla is one of my favorite texture packs. The reason it was added here is due to its impact on nature. Seagrass will turn to cattails in their specific conditions, lily pads will have flower invariants, so are cactuses, snowy grass will spread to the block beneath it, and so many different atmospheric textures to observe, my friend. That aside, it has fabulous connected layers, custom variants for many blocks, and better fence posts. So, generally speaking, you'll find it very useful. I know many of you are familiar with Bushy Leaves packs. However, not as many are aware of Bushier Bushes. This is a texture pack that enhances the models of bushes and makes them look better with 3D outlays. Each type of bushes received a special design fit for its nature, and it should be a good way to improve the forest in the least performance-intensive way. Another environmental texture pack with a similar purpose is Bushy Pink Petals, Wildflowers, and Leaf Litter. The name right there did the describing for me, so I don't have to waste your time telling you what it does. Up next, we have a few honorable mentions that were either too small to show in the video or too well known for me to showcase them. First, we have Windy, a mod adding pixel wind particles. These particles change and become faster depending on the weather. Better Skies is a mod that changes the clouds, sun, and moon in Minecraft. It's special in that all of its features are highly animated. Next, there is Better Clouds. This was the founding father of sky ambience mods, and it's still holding up to this day. It works well with shaders, and the new cloud layers are animated and makes the skies look gorgeous. And finally, there is Weather, Storms, and Tornadoes. This mod, although known for its catastrophic weather conditions that could debase a world, has a side to it that I love. It's aesthetics. When you enable the aesthetics mode in the settings, this mod only presents its atmospheric features, things like flying leaves and dust, new weather particles, as well as sandstorms and snowstorms. This mod could be impractical for many, but if you have the aesthetics mode enabled as I did earlier, you will only be seeing those ambient features, no more and no less. Thanks for watching. I hope that you found 10 or 20 mods fit for your mod pack. If you want to round things up, I would recommend watching my other ambient mods video dedicated to sounds only. You'd be surprised at how much immersed you can be just by listening to nature amongst other audio features. Subscribe and turn on the bell. The modding scene is only getting better, and I'll do my best to showcase each and every good mod that comes out. See ya in the next one now.